Like and subscribe and click the bell icon to get new video updates.
Peter Dutton seeks to recast his image as Tanya Plibersek apologises for likening him to Voldemort. Federal Liberal MP Peter Dutton is seeking to change his public image ahead of a vote on Monday to confirm the leader of the Liberal Party and the next opposition leader. Peter Dutton is trying to soften his image and says he hopes people can see his complete character. Mr. Dutton has formally nominated for the leadership, but he would not speculate on who the deputy leader could be. Mr. Dutton is also attempting to soften his image, saying while he would not be changing who he was, he wanted people to be able to see his complete character. Not just what they've seen through sound grabs when I am talking about boats or all sorts of different issues, he told 9 Radio. You've got to be a tough person to be the defense minister in this country. You have to be a tough minister to be in charge of ASIO and the Australian Federal Police and Border Force. But I've been elected in my seat 8 times now, and locals who've seen me and interacted with me, I think see a more complete picture, and I hope I can show that side as well and people can draw their own conclusions. Announcing his nomination on social media, Mr. Dutton said Australia needed a leader who would not buckle in hard times. The Liberal nominee said he'd had tough jobs as a government minister and formerly a police officer, but that he also had a softer side. Most people have only seen that side of me, he wrote. I hope now, in moving from such tough portfolios, the Australian public can see the rest of my character. The side my family, friends and colleagues see. Earlier, Mr. Dutton also appeared to try and differentiate himself from former Prime Minister Scott Morrison when it came his religiosity. I believe in God, but I don't attend church on a regular basis. So I'd be a failed Catholic, as Tony Abbott would point out, but I don't seek to make that part of who I am, he said. Mr. Morrison was very public about the depth of his Pentecostal Christian faith and regularly attends church. Yesterday, ousted Liberal MP Dave Sharma said voters in his Sydney electorate believed Mr. Morrison was too religious. Mr. Dutton said as opposition leader he would seek to bring the party together and restore its position as a broad church with voices from both the left and right, but that at the end of the day the Liberal Party was centre-right and would not become Labour-light. Read more. The 51-year-old Conservative hardhead has been the centre of his fair share of controversy during his more than 20 years in Parliament. In 2015, he was caught on a hot mic making a joke about water lapping at the door of Pacific Island nations because of climate change, and the next year he made inflammatory remarks about refugees' literacy levels. He was also the only opposition frontbencher in 2008 to boycott then Prime Minister Kevin Rudd's apology to the stolen generations and personally voted no, and encouraged people to do the same to same-sex marriage in the 2017 postal vote. Ultimately, Mr. Dutton voted in favour of same-sex marriage in Parliament after majority support for it was made clear by the postal vote. Former Environment Minister Sussan Ley is the frontrunner for the deputy leadership position. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese told Sky News that he hoped he could work cooperatively with Mr. Dutton. I congratulate him if that is the decision of the Liberal Party, Mr. Albanese said. The leader of the opposition, I know, isn't an easy task. I've got a much better relationship with Peter Dutton than with Scott Morrison. Peter Dutton has never broken a confidence I've had with him. Election news. Mr. Dutton said he respected and had a good relationship with the Prime Minister, and had been able to work pragmatically with him in the past. Plibersek apologises for Voldemort comment. Mr. Dutton confirmed that senior Labour MP Tanya Plibersek had apologised to her credit for likening him to Voldemort, the villain from the Harry Potter series. Ms. Plibersek made the comments on 9 Radio when asked about Mr. Dutton becoming opposition leader. I think there will be a lot of children who have watched a lot of Harry Potter films who will be very frightened of what they are seeing on TV at night, that is for sure, she had said. I am saying he looks a bit like Voldemort, and we will see whether he can do what he promised he would do when he was last running for leader, which is smile more. Mr. Dutton told 9 Radio it was water off a duck's back. You read that sort of stuff online and it is sort of the sewer of Twitter. I just don't think you need to be nasty and mean, he said. He went on to joke that his head is made for radio, and when his teenage sons give him grief for being bald, he reminds them that I had more hair than they did at 16 and 17, and that they may have the same genes as him.